What was the lead up to the merger between the Unitarians and the Universalists in 1961? It seems like it comes out of nowhere in our history. Actually, it is completely the opposite, if you can believe that. Starting in 1865, there were people who were trying to bring these two denominations together, which is logical because Unitarians usually supported the idea of universal salvation, and the Universalists were usually Unitarian in nature, non-Trinitarian, and they had many of the same values about reason and tolerance and being open to new ideas, being non-creedal. And they continued developing in very parallel ways. For instance, they were both involved in the whole humanism movement. And there was a lot of fluidity. You had ministers who were affiliated with both the Unitarians and the Universalists, as well as the lay people. I remember my parents talking about in the 1950s, they moved to Rochester and didn't quite fit with the vibe of the Unitarian church, so no problem, they went and became members of the Universalist church. But between cultural and organizational differences, it just didn't happen. Harvard has a really good web page going into detail about all of these failed attempts. I'm still a little salty about it. I mean, just imagine what we might have done if we had gotten our act together sooner. Anyway, someone had left a comment and said, asked, what about the youth? That they had heard something about how maybe the youth did this before the rest of, the adults did. Yes. In 1953, the youth organizations for both the Unitarians and the Universalists merged, and they became LRY, or Liberal Religious Youth. 8 years before the adults would manage to do so. But in 1955, they got serious about it, and they created committees to look at all the things that you need to look at when you are consolidating structure and finances and all of that. And meanwhile, in the congregations, people were having their own conversations about did they want to do this, because they would be voting on it. It was not a slam dunk deal. There were some people who were against it. But in 1961, the overall vote was to consolidate. Thanks for the question.